Hey, it's Antti. As you can see from the topic of my video, I also sucked as a photographer. Well, I didn't suck totally, but I think every one of us has started from somewhere, and I think it's really important to look back on your development, how you have evolved as a photographer. So today we're gonna check out my pictures from, I would say, around 2003 until 2010, from those early stage of my photography career. And I will kind of go through what was my thinking by the time. And you can see, of course, my work now as a comparison where I've at the moment. So I think it's gonna be a really fun time to watch these photos, and I hope you will enjoy this. I'm pretty sure that I will feel kind of shameful when I start showing you these pictures. But let's go and check out my pictures years and years, maybe around 15 years back. So I think I have evolved slightly. So 2003. I think 2003 was the first time I got my first DSLR camera. It wasn't my first digital camera. I think I got it around 2001 or something like that. So it definitely drew my attention and all my interest. But the DSLR first time 2003, and I'm pretty sure this might have been my first images that I took. I think we have all been there. We take pictures, the first thing that you will have in that room. It could be a table, it could be a lens cap or whatever. I had a fireplace, so I needed to test out how that fire gonna look like. And I almost clearly remember how I felt when I see my picture behind the camera, that oh my god, I stopped the fire. I mean, this is how you get passionate about photography, because you'll see that your step already from your digital camera shots going to the DSLR cameras, you are doing something different. You are able to modify the ISO, you are able to put the shutter speed different, and you kind of oh, I'm gonna rule this industry. Couple of my first shots. Then the camera goes in every single vacation I go, and you take pictures of everything that moves and everything that doesn't move. And beer. How many pictures of beer you have taken on these vacations? Because we have these cell phones with us now, but I was taking my DSLR everywhere, and there's one of my friends, a beer gut in the background, and I was like, you look at that bouquet and the layout and the conception of beer belly in the back and the beer in the front. I definitely see what I did there. So all the color palettes of yellowish whatever that is, and I was really proud of this image too. So as my background was doing art direction and graphic designing, I also experimented all these conceptual stuff. So here's a one shot that I did of I cannot remember who I was with in this, but you know, you can see that selective color thing, and there's some texture on top of that image. Yeah, that was adding texture to the images was my thing, and you will see that later on. And you know, doing a bit of Photoshop magic in these images. But yeah, we got our first child, and then I started doing portraits of course I wanted to document and doing my kind of portraits. And actually this shot was my first, in a way, cover picture in a magazine, photography magazine here in Finland, and we hanged our daughter in that kind of a pouch in a way. And I in my head it was like a stork bringing a child, and I photoshopped the top part in, and it was actually shot front of the regular window, so you cut out, and I changed the background, and that was a cover of one magazine, and I was like, couldn't be more proud. My picture is in the front of in a cover of a magazine, and I can buy the magazine from the stand, and oh my God, this industry is just taking me by the storm. I wanted to create this more. I remember how proud I was also of this picture. Then you buy a bigger lens and you start taking pictures of animals. Look how sharp is that image. I could like see the hair on that squirrel and eating that small acorn or whatever that is. This was my life. I was shooting everything that moves. I think every one of us has been there. Travel shots. I did some post-production in these images. I start in Photoshop to get these, you know, straight lines, but that's not straight. It's still kind of skewed. But I was doing landscape shots. They were way much better than you regularly see on these. So I was posting them to my friends and saying, look at my travel shots, and you get feedback that, oh my God, those are really cool travel shots. I was testing out a couple of portraits, and this is a natural light portrait, but you can see that I added some texture in it and some retouching on the and color changes already. But now when you start seeing, I think I had some kind of a texture phase, that every single picture that I did had this painterly texture in them. I started doing stock photography also by the time. So I was shooting everything like from cups to people and trying to figure out what kind of stock images sell. So this was one of my friends Ketano's pictures, business styled stock images, and I did a bunch of these kind of funny wide angle people, and I was so happy because this was the kind of first times I started using off-camera flashes, and I had this my small crappy flash on top of a stand and an umbrella there, and the main light was hitting somewhere. I didn't even understand where to put the light, but I was so happy that I could draw like an edge light. I didn't know it was called edge light by the time, and I could draw the edge light and it looked like commercial shot, and I isolated, and I look how overexposed the fingers are. No control, but I was so happy to achieve these kind of images by the time. Again, by my background, started to create all these concepts. This was one concept shot. I tried to align with this old famous painting with the kind of I made a series out of this. There's a mouse pointer and a finger, so I was doing it, and this was printed actually in our office wall, huge prints. Stock images. We have dogs who are kind of really well trained, so I was doing a lot of stock images of dogs holding bones and leashes and working with a laptop, and I think my dog pictures has been the pictures that has sold the most of my. So basically I funded all my gear through these stock photography stuff that I was doing. Then some artistic portraits. You can see that there's some swirly graphic elements, and you can see again there's some weird painterly texture in them. Again, a wedding picture, you can see I had the same kind of a texture. It seems the painted background thing that for me it seemed that it will bring more painterly effect to the images, and I started to retouch I think the clouds are post-production, and I was doing a lot of weddings and graduations and stuff like that. Here's another wedding picture. You can see the same texture here. And I think all the light streaks are post-production stuff. So again, my post-production started to be visible in my work. Again, taking pictures of my kids, doing portrait stuff. This time I was already transited, so this is 2008 or 9. I was already turned into professional, so I was shooting a lot of weddings, kids' portraits, graduations and everything like that. So I was, one of my mentors, Tina, was mentoring me with the light. I started to understand the light better. I started to understand people better because I shot so many pictures of people. But then when I'm doing my own portraits and stuff like that, and I started to retouch them, and the kind of look started to evolve, that this is what I want to do. I want to add some grunge to my pictures, and so again we're talking about 2009 or whatever, but still kind of early stages. As I said about the light, I learned really by doing and by help from my colleagues how to light stuff. So I always consider myself be also a photographer, because I want to light my subjects as good as possible, but then my Photoshop and retouching stuff brings them to life. So these kind of kid portraits, I was trying these negative space things, so the graphic designer in me also became more like apparent in my pictures. Graduations, really basic portraits, a lot of them. You can start to see my edge light here. Let's put some edge light into these pictures. Still stock photography, different kind of pictures. These, you can see it was studio shot. I retouched the background. This was one picture that I think I got some kind of award. It could be a silver or a gold medal in a studio shot or category, in the wedding categories in the Finnish competitions, and I was really proud that I made something different. The wedding couple can be like a tattooed couple, not a fancy dress. So wedding could be something like, pictures could be like this. So that is something that I started to do. Try to find different kind of angles and concepts. This was also one award-winning pictures in these Finnish competitions, and then I started to also push my work more further, and also taking part of these competitions, because I saw that I'm able to push myself further if I take part of those competitions. That I started to create pictures for the competitions, and then I think this was also one winner. In this fantasy category in the wedding pictures studio shot, and I started to use my skills as a photographer, using my own and using also stock photography as a part of my images, adding this light and how to blend these people together. Early stages of my composite stuff, but still I was kind of doing rather good job in those. So I think that's a wrap from my images. I think it's really fun to see all these old images that I have done almost, well, it's like 15 to 10 years ago, and how I have evolved into creating pictures that you see in my intro reel. Hopefully this kind of a video kind of helps you to understand that wherever you are in these steps of creating pictures, the more you do, the more work you put in your work, and more original stuff you create, and more creative you be, you are able to climb those ladder, and you have always people that you look up to, and you get inspired by them, and you want to create something like that, and you use your time wisely. You invest your time to tone your photography skills and Photoshop skills and retouching skills, and create your original concepts, and everything will come together, and you will be in that stage. You will look back into your own old pictures and think, what is this bunch of crap? But I'm really proud of it. Because when you think of that person who created those, and you step into that person's shoes, you will remember how proud you felt about that picture. That person has evolved into this, and your level is somewhere else now. But I think it's really valuable to look back and remember that person, who that was. Taking photos of squirrels and landscapes and baby portraits, it's not that far away. And I'm at the moment here, and I'm always looking there. So comment on below, how did you think about my old pictures? Put a thumbs up if you like this video. Put a thumbs down if you didn't like my old pictures. I don't really care. Subscribe my channel because it will make me make more of these videos. As always, there's over 5,000 of you guys, and I really want to engage a conversation with you guys and create more of this content that might help you in the long run to get to your own goals and kind of see where you are able to go. So I will see you on my next video. Cheers.